Hey, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to show you how I made this galaxy inspired alpaca head cushion. So to start off with, I took some galaxy inspired fabric, and this was actually from my usual fabric store, but I would leave a link in the description below of exactly where I bought it and exactly what type of fabric it is and stuff like that, so you know obviously which one I actually bought. And what I did was place two pieces of this right sides together and drew out a rough circle shape using a black Sharpie on one of the pieces. Next, taking my scissors, I just roughly cut out this shape, and then I just kind of hot glued this as together. What I did was took my hot glue gun and just kind of hot glued a circle on the inside and then pressed the top piece down on it to secure it in place. I did this all the way around, just moving the shape around and making a circle with the hot glue gun, like I said, all the way around. Now you can sew this or you can use fabric glue, whatever you have to secure the two pieces of fabric together you can use. Fabric glue will take a lot longer to dry than hot glue will, but hot glue just works just fine and will obviously give you faster results. You want to leave a little gap between 2 and 3 inches so that you can actually turn this shape inside out. But once you've done hot gluing, you'll then want to cut off the excess and make little snips all the way around to help with turning it the right side way around. You'll then want to just turn this inside out and then stuff the shape with some toy stuffing, and this is just polyester stuffing that I'm using, which is used to fill up plushies and stuff like that, which I got from my local store. You can use whatever filling that you have hanging around. Little strips of fabric will work just fine, just whatever you have to fill up a cushion. Pillow stuffing will also work perfectly. Next, to seal the hole, you'll then want to turn those two raw edges in so that you're not left with any edges that could fray. You'll then want to take your hot glue and just secure the hole together, squeezing to hold it in place and just until it dries to make sure that it's all secure and none of the stuffing can fall out. You'll then want to move on to make the ears, so to do this I took another piece of fabric and popped it right sides together, and then with a Sharpie I drew out two rough ear shapes. I then cut out these shapes from the fabric so that I was left with two pieces for each earpiece. In order to make the ears, I hot glued this onto the bottom piece so that I was basically hot gluing straight onto that nice fluffy fabric side, and I just drew out a kind of ear shape with the hot glue. I then popped the other piece on top and just pressed really hard and left that to set. I then went ahead and did the other one whilst that one was setting, and then I went back into the first ear and cut off all the excess whilst that one was setting, etc. Once I had both earpieces, I then turned in the rough edges on the bottom, and then I just hot glued them together so that they were folded in on themselves to give them a more 3D-like effect. I didn't want to stuff my ears, I wanted to keep them nice and like kind of thin as possible, so I just didn't bother stuffing them. You can do it if you want to, it's completely down to you. Once I had both earpieces, I then took a lot of hot glue onto the back of them and just hot glued them to the top of the Alpaca Plush. This is where you want to make sure that you've got the right kind of side facing towards you. So I picked the side where I had more blues and purples and pinks on the front, whereas the back was just quite blue, so you just want to make sure that you glue them on the right side. Once both ears were attached, I then moved on and drew out a circle onto a white piece of felt. I then cut this out by folding it down so that I had two circle shapes. Now these circle shapes were to actually make the alpaca's eyes. I did actually go and adjust them later on, but obviously I'll show you that later on in the video. I then placed the eyes on the alpaca to kind of give me the rough size that I wanted the snout to be. And for this I just hot glued a oval shape onto a white piece of felt and popped another piece of white felt on top. To make the eyes I just took some toy safety eyes and just cut off the backs. You can also use beads or like paint or whatever you have around, but I just had these guys hanging around, so I thought, oh well, I'll use those. So once the nose piece had fully dried, I then turned this inside out and just stuffed it with some more toy stuffing. I then secured the opening just as I did with the big plush part, just by folding it in and hot gluing it and holding it in place to set. Once I had the nose piece all fully done, I then went back with the main alpaca cushion and I just kind of played around with the circles and the snout and the nose and all sorts of things until I was completely happy with the design and what way I was going to have bits and the sizes and stuff like that. This took me a few minutes to get it correct, as alpacas do have quite a distinctive look, so just if you're making this, just make sure to like kind of explore different options, put the eyes wider apart, closer together, the snout upside down, all sorts of ways, just so you get it 100% right. So once I was finally happy with my design, I then went ahead and hot glued the circles on, and then I hot glued the snout part down too. Once this bit was fully secure, I then went ahead and hot glued those two little eye bits that I cut off earlier and just kind of tucked them slightly behind the snout bit to make them further in, just to give the classic alpaca look. In order to get the nose and the mouth on, I obviously didn't want to stitch this as I was making a no-sew, so I took some tulip puffy paint in the colour black, and just with my dotting tool I kind of drew out the nose and mouth little shape. Now I actually based this on the Alpaca design. I absolutely love Alpaca so much, and that's probably where my love of alpacas has come from, but that's basically what I did and just kind of drew that on with my dotting tool. And once that was done, my plushie was then complete. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. I absolutely love the fabric. Like, the fabric is just so nice. I was thinking about making a galaxy sheet with it also, like I did before, but I just wanted to try something different, and I've tried making alpacas so many times, like including the body and stuff. It just hasn't worked out. I did actually see an alpaca cushion tutorial on tutorials a few years ago. It was by Two Cats and One Doll, I do believe. So yeah, but I just wanted to make a no-sew so that everybody could get the opportunity to make something this cute if they don't know how to sew and stuff. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously I'll be back tomorrow with a something else Sunday. But if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already, subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!